Hi, I'm Deb, and this is my kitchen. Today I'm making a cream Easter egg recipe that is very close to Cadbury's, and it's the best and easiest I've ever tried. And I've tried a bunch. Are you ready? Because the kitchen is now open. Come on in. Let's cook up something good.
For my cream-filled eggs that rival Cadbury's, the ingredients I'll be using are dark chocolate candy melts, or you can use milk chocolate, 1 pound of Wilton White Fondant, the next two ingredients are optional, 2 good pinches of salt and 2 teaspoons of heavy whipping cream, a half a cup of warm water, a half a cup of sugar, yellow food coloring, and because I like to flavor my filling so it doesn't just taste like a bunch of sugar, I use 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract for my egg whites and a half a teaspoon of lemon extract for my egg yolks. The very first thing I do is put my fondant in the refrigerator. This will become important later on. Then I make my chocolate eggshells. Also, be sure and watch to the end of the video for some important tips on how to make this recipe a real success. To get started, I heat up my chocolate candy melts in one of 3 ways using either a candy melt pot, my microwave, or a makeshift double boiler by filling a pan about a third of the way full with water, heating the water and keeping it on a simmer, and then setting a metal or tempered glass bowl on the pan and adding my chocolate melts. Today I'm using a Wilton candy melt pot. Once my chocolate is completely melted, I pour it into a zipper freezer bag and set it aside. I cover my work surface with parchment paper, snip off a small corner of the bag, and squeeze lightly to fill each of the molds all the way to the top with chocolate. Using a cutting board to stabilize the mold, I tap, tap, tap it to remove air bubbles. Then I let the chocolate sit for 3 minutes, and then tip the mold over and allow the excess chocolate to pour out onto the parchment paper until it stops dripping, and then I can reclaim that chocolate later. I scrape off any excess chocolate and then pop the mold into the fridge for about 20 minutes to set. While my eggshells are setting up, it's time to make my fillings, and in order to do that, I need to make some simple syrup. But don't worry, it's simple. Syrup. I gently heat half a cup of water on the stove or in the microwave until it's very warm, and then stir it into a half a cup of sugar until it's completely dissolved. It's ready when it goes from cloudy to clear. Now I grate my refrigerated fondant and add it into a medium-large bowl. If the piece you're grating starts to get gummy, just put it in the fridge for a few minutes and then continue. Using an electric hand mixer on the lowest setting, I slowly blend in 2 teaspoons of heavy whipping cream until it's incorporated. I then add small amounts of simple syrup and blend in a bit at a time until the mixture is liquid enough to slowly slide off a spoon. It should be about the consistency of a thick honey. Lastly, I add 2 good pinches of salt and 1 teaspoon of vanilla and blend in until smooth and dissolved. I transfer about 1/3 of the mixture to a separate bowl and then blend in half a teaspoon of lemon extract and a few drops of yellow food coloring, a few at a time, and blend them in and repeat until I've reached the color I desire. This batch took 10 drops. I carefully remove the chocolate eggshells from the silicone mold and set them aside. Okay, we're almost done. Now I need to fill and assemble the eggs. This is the arts and crafts part of the recipe, but don't worry, it's not hard. And be sure and watch to the end for those important tips you need to know. I add my white and yellow fondants to separate zippered freezer bags and then snip off a small corner of each. I gently squeeze my white fondant and pipe the mixture into my chocolate shells. Then I repeat with the yellow mixture, making a yolk in the middle of the egg while making sure that both fillings remain well below the top edges of the shell. Lastly, I use a small craft or food-grade paintbrush to carefully brush melted chocolate onto the top edges of one eggshell and then lightly press together with an unpainted one. I set my egg aside to allow the chocolate to bond and then repeat. Wow, I am so happy with these. These eggs look great. They may not be as perfect as the ones the pros make, but I can tell you from experience they taste every bit as good. And with the added optional ingredients, I think they taste far better than anything you can buy in the store. Okay, Here are 5 quick tips for better cream-filled eggs. Number 1, protect your chocolate from water. Just a drop or two can ruin both regular and white chocolate, so be careful and don't let any water make contact. Make sure all tools are clean and dry. Number 2, repeated microwaving of chocolate is bad. It can make your chocolate thicker and harder to work with. Melt enough so all the eggshells can be filled with one pour. Number 3, be careful not to overfill your eggshells. If you do, they won't be able to bond together and you could end up with a real mess. Keep your fillings well below the top edge of the shells. Number 4, lightly shave seams for a better look. In order to get the chocolate nice and smooth, I very gently shave off any ragged seams on my finished eggshells with a paring knife. Number 5, you can hide imperfections with a little bit of butter. I use a small coating on my fingertips to gently rub out and smooth the surface of my eggs for a finished look.
Favorite meals and treats always bring family together at the dinner table where family is built. And if you feed them these cream-filled Easter eggs, they will come. So go make some. Oh. Oh, that's good.